GS2, Polity, Governance, International Relations. So we'll be doing one unit in polity. So polity is mainly the static part of the GS2 paper. It fetches, if I've seen the previous papers, the marks allotted for this unit is comparatively low as contrasted with governance. Anyway, you will have to cover polity, the static part also. So the question, see the question, parliamentary committees act as instruments for ensuring executive accountability. In the light of the statement, critically examine how far these committees are effective. So the very simple question, how does Parliament control the executive? By executive I mean the Prime Minister, the Council of Ministers. How are they controlled by the Parliament? Parliament is the legislature. So in a parliamentary form of democracy, which we have taken from Britain, the executive is chosen from the legislature, answerable to the legislature. It remains in power so long as it enjoys the confidence of the legislature. Now, see the question. Parliamentary committees act as instruments for ensuring accountability, executive accountability. What are parliamentary committees? Parliamentary committees are small units of members of parliament from both houses, which study various matters, bills, and budgets of ministries. Now, one advantage of this parliamentary committees is they meet throughout the year. Parliament meets only thrice a year, that too for a very brief period, whereas committees can meet throughout the year. This ensures continuity. There are 24 department-related standing committees. Now the question is, how do parliamentary committees act as instruments for ensuring executive accountability? See, the first thing, technical expertise. So what the parliamentary committees do, they take the help of experts when a bill is being discussed. So generally a bill can originate either in the Lok Sabha or in the Rajya Sabha. See, the moment it enters the Lok Sabha, the speaker can refer it to the committee. Similarly, if it enters the Rajya Sabha, the chairman of the Rajya Sabha can refer the bill to the committee. So this background, if you have, you can understand the question. Now the committees. Now what happens when the bill is referred to the committee for discussion? The members of parliament take the example of experts. Now you take a bill which was passed recently, the surrogacy bill. Now the members of parliament will not be having specialized knowledge or technical knowledge. You take the example of the surrogacy bill. Now when the surrogacy bill was being discussed in the parliamentary committee, the details like how surrogacy clinics should be regulated, other issues relating to surrogacy. Apart from that, whose opinion has to be taken when the bill is being formulated. So the parliamentary committee called the National Commission for Women, it called the prominent doctors, it called government officials. Now keeping all their opinion in mind, it prepares a report, and this will become the basis for discussion in the legislature. So technical expertise is the one great advantage the committee has. Next thing is consensus building. See, generally the ruling party, opposition party may take diverse opinion, may take diverse stands. So in the committee, since the committee consists of members of both parties, they arrive at a consensus. So how do the committees function? They function behind closed doors, and there the members can freely discuss the questions and come to a conclusion. Then the committee reports, once the committee prepares a report, there is a lot of weightage in the reports, and since our technical opinion has gone into it, it forms the basis for the bill to be discussed and later on submitted in parliament and then getting the president's approval. So you take the consumer protection bill. See, the committee which examined the consumer protection bill made outstanding recommendations. One of them was increasing the penalty for misleading advertisements. That is a very notable recommendation. Like that, such recommendations find their way into the draft bill, which again is deliberated by the legislature, that is the Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, and then goes to the president for approval. So the committees also examine the financial aspect, the financial issues, like they see the bills, budgets, and requirements of every department under each ministry, and they discuss specific issues like what was the outlay, what has been spent, why there has been no spending in a particular sector. All these are discussed by the parliamentary committee. See, the major parliamentary committees are the Committee on Public Undertakings, Estimates Committee, then the Public Accounts Committee. Here we are not going into the details of those committees. We are only having a general discussion on what are parliamentary committees, how do they ensure executive accountability, and how far they are successful. So when I say financial issues, again for the sake of repetition, they examine the budgets of several departments and then come into specific issues. They discuss the outlay, they discuss why funds remain unspent, why there has been a rush of expenditure, and related items. Now, coming to the constraints in the working of parliamentary committees, the first thing is not all bills are required to be sent to committees. See, if the speaker decides that a particular bill can be discussed on the floor of the house and there is no need to be required to be sent to a committee, then nothing can be done. To that extent, that bill will not be sent to the committee for detailed discussion and examination. Then the parliamentary committees cannot discuss government policy. See, government policy is the prerogative of the executive, that is the Prime Minister and the Council of Ministers. So the committees cannot discuss. See, for instance, you take the background of the corona pandemic. Like, see, now recently a parliamentary committee asked the concerned stakeholders in the health department to enlighten them, to brief them about the status of the vaccine. So what will happen? They will come, the representatives of the various stakeholders like the ICMR, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, they will come and explain to the committee on what the issues are, when the vaccine is likely to come. That is all. Parliamentary committee cannot discuss anything, cannot take any decision on government policy because it is the prerogative of the government. Then, no deliberation on day-to-day functioning. See, day-to-day functioning of government is not the work of the parliamentary committee. Then, finally, the recommendations of the committee may or may not be accepted. This is another constraint of the parliamentary committees. Now, this question which we have taken for discussion is for 150 words, 10 marks. So 150 words means 15 sentences. So once again, I will advise you on how to break up your answer. In the introductory part, you say we have adopted the parliamentary system of government from the United Kingdom. And in the parliamentary form of government, the executive is responsible to the legislature. By responsibility to the legislature, I mean responsibility to the lower house of parliament. Since the parliament cannot meet on a day-to-day basis and it meets only for 3 seasons in a year, it is left to the parliamentary committees to ensure continuity in administration. Parliamentary committees examine a host of issues. As I told you, 3 major committees are the Committee on Public Undertakings, Public Accounts Committee, Estimates Committee. Besides that, there are a lot of ad hoc committees constituted for a certain purpose. Now, when a bill is presented in Parliament in either house, the Speaker, in case of the Lok Sabha, the Chairman of the Rajya Sabha, in case of the Rajya Sabha, will decide whether the bill should be sent to a parliamentary committee. Then I said what inbuilt advantages the committee has. It seeks technical expertise and provides sufficient valuable inputs to the House in later discussing the bill and passing the bill. Then it promotes consensus among parties, and the committee reports, I told you, they are full of factual details, technical details, which will help the legislature appreciate the background of the bill Then financial issues, as for the sake of repetition, on the outlay of a department, why the funds are not being spent, why there is rush of expenditure. Then the limitations, again, the discretion of referring to a committee is again left to the speaker in case of the Lok Sabha, chairman in case of the Rajya Sabha. Then the committees cannot discuss government policy, they cannot discuss day-to-day functioning. Finally, the recommendations of the committee are only advisory. They are not binding on the government. Government may accept it or government may not accept it.